airlines, cruises, hotels, Airbnb ahead of earnings participating in that rally. Wilfred, one more to point out, which is Gamestop having a surge here in the final hour of trade. Up, I think it was up more than 30%. So clearly catching a bid. I haven't seen any news.
38%.
Haven't checked the Reddit boards. Up now 38.5%.
It's starting again.
Never a dull moment for GME.
I'm not sure I can take it again. Just maybe just for a day or two. Happy for it to happen, but don't let snowball. Time for a CNBC News update now with Rahel Solomon. Rahel.
Hi, well, hello, everyone.
On a foundation of our business being able to operate, which rests on a foundation of the financial system working, right?
I think it was harder for him than the congressional testimony. And as we've been mentioning throughout the hour, check out GameStop. It soared just in the last few minutes or so, up 103.9, was halted. And Reddit favorite AMC also is moving. Let's check in on that stop. It was up double digits, jumping on the back of this GameStop surge, up 25%. Mike, explain the significance of the settlement, why it takes 2 days to settle, and what that would do, and why it's of note here.
Well, first of all, as I was saying not that long ago, I remember when it was 5 days, and then it went to 3 days, and the industry has been just moving in this direction.
Or if an announcement came out, we're going to raise capital now so that there is no halt in buying, this might have all resolved differently. And then the other thing I want to say very quickly, if you stayed short GameStop from 400-something down to 40, you really didn't learn your lesson the first time. And the real lesson is, this is what's the market cap? $5 billion. There are people who have so much money right now that for them to just buy this company for $5 billion, like as a goof, like they might actually do it. $5 billion is like the joke in Austin Powers when Dr. Evil goes like this and he threatens the world over $1 million. It's nothing. It's nothing. There are people buying digital assets that have no value for $100 million just to make a joke about it on Twitter. Like, that's what's happening right now. So if you're staying short something because of its cash flow or whatever, understand that these are not big dollar amounts for the meme-driven, Fed liquidity-driven economy. And like, I would not. They might. This thing could just get taken over by the Chewy guy with a consortium of 2 or 3 private equity execs that say, you know what, we don't care if it ever makes money. We're going to use it to market things to the customer base. So I would be very careful here, staying both long or short any of these stocks that are caught up in this maelstrom.
And Cohen, who tweeted a picture of an ice cream cone just an hour or so ago, which coincided with that surge.
Strong buy.
GameStop up 104%, AMC's up 20%. Some news, meantime, on GM related.
Mike, I just want to point out shares of GameStop because they've seen this incredible surge. Just when you thought that things had calmed down, after what? The stock ran up in January all the way into the high 400s, came falling back down to earth. It's been calm over the last few weeks amid the congressional testimony and everything else. And here we go, just on a quiet afternoon here in the 3 o'clock hour of trading, surging 103.9% and getting halted. What are you seeing, Mike?
There's nothing that we can point to. Well, now, let's keep in mind, so 24 hours ago, the CFO announced it was resigning. Since that moment, there's been some color coming out that's saying the board forced out the CFO. Maybe he was seen as an impediment to the transformation of the company, whatever the strategic plan is for this company. And a little bit of a germ of something like that is probably enough in a market with a lot of house money and a lot of people still focused on the stuff that's going to move the fastest and all the memes to get it going. I'm not going to pretend I have any sense of why it's up at this level at this moment. Also, you know, I don't know exactly what the real-time short interest is. Nobody really does, but you can guarantee it's lower than it was when all this started in late January, mid-January, because there was a lot of the shorts got cleaned out, and people in general are short a lot less stock across this market. So, you know, it's unclear how much would be behind it if it were not for, you know, this little kind of spurt right here. And, of course, it is taking up a lot of the other kind of adjacent stocks that we got used to talking about.
Surging 103.9% and getting halted. What are you seeing, Mike?
There's nothing that we can point to. Well, now, let's keep in mind, so 24 hours ago, the CFO announced it was resigning. Since that moment, there's been some color coming out that's saying the board forced out the CFO. Maybe he was seen as an impediment to the transformation of the company, whatever.
After being halted twice in the final hour of trade, the stock closed up more than 100%. Some reports resurfacing about activist investor Ryan Cohen pushing out GameStop's CFO. We know the CFO stepped down yesterday. We'll continue to follow the story for you, Mike and Wilfred. But there is that sort of, I don't know if you want to call it, Mike, a fundamental case, but there's an activist investor in there. He's built up a large portion of shares. He has a few board seats that he won in January. It really helped spark this whole short squeeze, and now the CFO is out. But I'm not sure what triggered this crazy move just in the final minutes or half hour of trade today.
There's no saying what triggered it necessarily. Maybe we'll find out something, some little footsteps we can read. But yes, there is a fundamental case for the company being a survivor and being able to turn itself around when the stock was in the single digits, when the stock was in the teens. And then once it got up to a certain level, whatever you want to call it, above 40, it really did catch flight as this kind of meme momentum story. Yes, could it transform itself? Maybe. Can it get out of 5,000 store leases? I don't know all the things it has to do. But what really matters here is that there's a spring-loaded instinct to just kind of let's try to rerun the game. And this is what it is. Rerunning the game. You have new lives. Let's see if we can make it work. I think what lessons might have been learned, well, theoretically, short sellers looked at Melvin Capital and had a there but for the grace, grace of God go I moment, and said, I'm not going to size a short anywhere near a level that it could take me out if it goes wrong. So presumably there's people who are less aggressively short, and we'll see if that really changes the dynamics as people get more involved here again. Momentum to the upside. The dealers who sell those options presumably are going to be pricing them very, very aggressively. So they have to really do have to pay up and make a huge bet on this stuff. So it's unclear if you're going to get that snowballing momentum. However, a lot of the adjacent stocks are moving too. You have to imagine that people who create these, bots and trading systems that do these volatility alerts will try to seize on the opportunity here and ride along. So this is by no means the same kind of slow building organic stampede that we saw come to fruition in late January. I don't think this is much more about a hair trigger, and they lit the match and they're going to go to mix a metaphor.
Still, there's a lot of deja vu from what happened in January. Sure. And it's not just GameStop. We're seeing some action in some of the other meme stocks that have been associated with GameStop. AMC is up after hours 20%. It was up 22%. Nokia Sundial up a little bit. But Bed Bath & Beyond was also, I think, sharply higher, 7%. What is the short interest position in some of these stocks? Because that was also sort of the perfect scenario, Mike. Yeah. When GameStop surged in January, and they were heavily shorted. What's happened since then? Yeah, well, it's the short interest in general has come down. Remember, we only get official short interest reporting every 2 weeks. There are services that try to calculate it more on a day-to-day basis that have suggested these are still more shorted than average. By the way, BlackBerry was never a crowded short. It had nothing to do really with the mechanical short squeeze. It just got in the flow of a lot of these viral stocks in the same kind of cluster. So I don't think it's necessarily all one thing. It's not all short squeezes. It's a lot of these neglected names, low share price in many cases. And, they worked before. Maybe we're going to try it again. I think it might be almost as simple as that. And, one thing that has been, a consistent message out there is that the excitement coming from smaller retail traders was not going to go away. It's going to move from place to place, but it really seems as if this is a long-lasting wave that we're riding right now, and it's going to create, lots of disruptions and excitement in different parts of the market.
Mike, thinking a bit more broadly, Tesla up 6%, nice jump there, but still down 5% so far this week, which again shows that the volatility is playing out in some bigger cap names. Right.
And if you look at others like Apple, which was not able to add on yesterday's gains, even though it had a pretty good reversal to the upside intraday yesterday, you're still getting penalized if you're a very big secular growth company with lots of cash flow that people feel like it's fully valued, and you just don't have that much connection or gearing to a recovering economy. That's really what you're getting penalized for.
Number one, because you want to learn all about trading and trading technology and not fall asleep and not get a headache. My videos make you smile and make you finally understand complex topics like no other. Number two, because rather than listen to me self-promote, you're going to take a look at what some of my viewers are saying about my videos. Don't take my word for it. The proof is in the pudding or the comments. Take a look.
the ceiling.